I look terrible.
Why do you say such mean things about my baby?
Terrible.
You do not.
Nope, still ugly. Just checking out the HD on the HD stuff. On the HD stuff, yeah. So I figured that rather than calling in all the 10 or 15 people that are going to want to ask me questions, I'd just kind of sit here and in the best place with lighting. This is actually the bathroom floor because the air conditioning unit in there is so loud. It's just hurts my brain. But it's better than the warm 90 to 106 degree weather we're having. So I got all ready and I left at around 1 o'clock. We called the cab, they picked me up, and the dude that was driving me was actually a musician too, from Brazil. Yeah, he plays guitar. He drove me along the line, and we had the line, and it was like 500 people already just standing outside, lined up all down the street, the side of this enormous convention center. It's like 5 floors, and it takes up almost an entire block. The Austin Convention Center. I look in my bag because I see everybody holding up their artist audition pass, and I'm like, it's not in my bag. And that actually had my CD in it too, for in case they wanted to just do a callback right then and there. So I'm like, calling Jesse up. So the line was moving really quickly actually, so by the time he got there, everybody was already in for the 2 o'clock slot. There was another girl who had, she had forgot her driver's license at the hotel, and she had to have her husband come and bring it to her. Their hotel was like 5 miles away, and we were like maybe a mile and a half away from the convention center max. And funnily enough, because of the online taxi deal, they canceled Jesse's ride, and so I didn't actually get into the center until about 2:10, 2:15. And the security people are so helpful. There was a girl at the door that was telling people what they needed to do in order to get inside. Yelling about like minors and how you're supposed to have a parent with you, have your paperwork ready, you know, friends and family go on this side and stuff. And I'm going in there and I'm waiting for Jesse, and I'm talking to this girl, you know, just making small talk, security girl. And I'm like, hey, so is there a deadline for, like, are they going to refuse me coming in if I'm too late? And she's like, well, when was your audition? I was like, 2 o'clock. And she's like, well, that's your deadline. And I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, I realize that's when I'm supposed to be there, but shit happens. So that was interesting response. So we go inside, and immediately they have all the friends and family in this one area. And all the voice people keep walking for pretty much ever until we came to these lines. At the end of the lines were security people checking bags and stuff. And they also wanted to see your artist audition pass and your driver's license. So I had mine in this little binder sleeve because I'm all cool like that. And I was holding it out, you know, just like holding it absent-mindedly, just, you know, wishing that my feet would stop hurting and I would be able to sit down soon. Screw lighting. My back hurts. It's been a long day out. Where did all the makeup go? Okay, so stand in the line, absent-mindedly holding out my artist audition pass and my driver's license, waiting to get checked by security people who are about 100 feet in front of me. There's like a good 20 or 30 people in the way, stretched out in this line. There's 2 or 3 lines. And so I'm waiting, and I'm holding out this thing. This is my little sleeve of my stuff. And this dude starts taking it from me. And he just looks like a dude, he just looks like one of the auditioners. Because everybody else has been in some kind of, garb letting you know that they're some kind of professional. So the dude is like, taking my shit. I think he's just some dude trying to take my shit. And so I look at him and I say, well, you didn't look professional at first. And he didn't like that. He's like, what do you mean professional? I'm like, well, everybody else has had a blazer or some kind of a shirt on. He's like, what do you want me to look like? Those are the security people. I work for the show. And I'm like, oh, okay. Trying to roll with the punches here. And so he takes my stuff and he looks at it, and I'm assuming he's checking my name on my pass with my name on my driver's license. And he's like, oh, so you're from Carmel. I'm like, Carmel, but yeah. He's like, close enough. I'm like, yes. I was just praying to every god on the books that I did not get him to audition for, because that was a really awkward transaction. I don't usually have that level of awkwardness and foot in mouth. So, and then we moved on. They checked our bags, and I'm pretty sure my nectarines had already exploded at that point. Checked our bags, gave us the wand check, wanted to know if we had any nail files or aerosols or anything that could be used to hurt anybody at all whatsoever. It's really distracting to talk to this camera with my face in it. Then we got shuffled into another enormous room about the size of a couple of basketball courts, and stood in those lines. And at the end of those lines, they gave us the red wristband, and we were carted off to sit in some chairs. And that's where most of my pictures were from, when I'm showing, that was the last stand before getting into a room of people that were going to be shipped into audition rooms. And so there was probably less than 1,000 people at any given time in the place, because there was about 15 chairs by maybe 15 rows times 4. So I don't know what that comes out to. And one of them was empty the whole time. I guess they didn't have as many people this time as they thought they were going to, or just at 2 o'clock. Anyway, so there's the quadrant in front of me and the quadrant on the side of me that were both singing songs as groups. Nobody was really singing their own songs. I felt, I've watched a lot of videos about stuff, and I thought people were going to be practicing, warming up, showing off, I don't know. But I kind of got bored and worried and bored. People had guitars, because they were accompanying themselves. And over on this side, they were doing old stuff like Let It Be, Brown Eyed Girl, stuff that everybody knew. And it was popular for a minute, but everybody in my quadrant was like shit-talking. They're like, oh, those people are just doing it because they want to show off and stuff. And I'm like, none of them are singing particularly well. They're just doing it because we're all stuck in a room for God knows how long, waiting nervously, nail-biting, nose-picking. Not fun. And the quadrant in front of me did some newer stuff. They were doing Don't Stop Believin', and then it was really hard to hear because the ceilings were really high and it was everything was really spaced out. But it looked like one of the voice worker people with the headset and stuff that were coordinating everything went up to him and was talking at him for a minute. Couldn't hear anything he was saying. But then they started singing We Are Young. And when they got to the part where it goes, and they set the world on fire, it was too high. And like half of the people were either really sharp or flat on it. And everybody in my quadrant started giggling at them. Like it was just a full group thing.